What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. It's a little chilly where I'm at. It's about 62 degrees, and I was freezing my you-know-what off. So I put on a couple layers. Also have the AC pumping because even if it's cold outside, you got to have the AC on to, get the mind right. And my original game plan today was to do a Go Low podcast and dive in. We got the Masters next week. I'm doing a change of plans because I'm going on with Colin. I'm recording with him Wednesday for Thursday, and I'm sure we're going to talk a bunch of football. So I'll record a golf podcast tomorrow. But so much stuff came out of the owners' meetings. Jerry on Micah Parsons, the 49ers on Brock Purdy, some comments about Kirk Cousins, the Eagles, could they be trading one of their starters, a bunch of rule changes. Obviously, the Tush Push is like the most controversial thing in the NFL since like concussions. It's kind of crazy, but that's where we're at. So we're going to dive into a bunch of football topics today that I'm fired up to talk about. So that will be the game plan. We'll have a golf podcast out tomorrow. This week is the Valero Open, kind of useless because the Masters next week. It feels like just an irrelevant tournament, but I'll probably watch some of it. But we are going to talk football today. So before we dive in to the old National Football League, I got to tell you about my friends, my partners, and the official ticketing app of this podcast right now. Do you want to do something fun? Do you want to get out of the routine of your life and mix it up and go have a night out on the town with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your kids, with someone in your life and go enjoy yourself? Go to a game, go to a concert, go to a comedy show and save a little money while you're at it. Game Time, best ticketing app I've ever used by a mile, not even close. I cannot recommend it enough. Whether you're searching for tickets for a team, a venue, just going on there to see what's happening in the area in which you live, I cannot recommend it enough. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code JOHN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. When you get older, I turned 40 a couple months ago. You start, I don't want to say you go through a midlife crisis, but over the course of your late 30s, and anyone listening to this that's older than me, you start comparing life moments to like when individuals die, or when you start seeing someone, their child is 25 and in the NFL or in the NBA. Hell, I was watching the Final Four and watching Jason Richardson's son, star for Michigan State. I remember being at a Kings game, sneaking up to basically courtside, a couple rows behind with my buddy Mike Ewing that I grew up with, watching a Warriors-Kings game, and Jason Richardson, who at the time felt like he was a first or second year player. I was in high school, and him doing a breakaway 360. And I'm watching his son. It's like, God, I feel old. And part of life is aging. And as you get older, these people that have been in your life kind of come down the home stretch. And if you love sports, and especially where I grew up, 49ers and Cowboys were a really big deal. And Jerry Jones has been in my life, like most people that follow football, for a long time now. And I watched a clip of the kind of quote that went viral that discussing Micah Parsons. And, the main part of the quote was like, I'd rather pay more and get it right, which I want to dive into that quote. But watching Jerry, it's like, God, he's aging, and he's aging. Of course, he's in his 80s. And I think the Cowboys right now, it's just going to be a weird little stretch in Jerry's older years. There is no disputing. It's not apples to apples. But there does feel a little bit like Al Davis, Jerry Jones, two of the biggest names in the history of the league, guys that own the team and ran the team. The end got a little weird. And that's what it feels like right now with Jerry. even if you listen to him talk and go, yeah, I'm just going right to Micah Parsons. I'm the guy cutting the check. He's the guy that has to accept the deal. Why am I wasting time talking to anyone else? That's not that abnormal. It feels kind of weird because Jerry's saying it. TJ Watt did this a couple years ago when he held in and went right to Art Rooney's office. Last year, when the negotiations were going on with Brandon Ayuk, it was constantly Kyle, John, and Brandon Ayuk dealing with each other on top of the agent. Now, when you make the quote, I'd rather pay more and get it right, I think there's a lot of validity to that statement in any walk of life. You are better off paying a little bit more and being happy with your purchase. I mean, think how many things in life that if you go cheap on end up costing you more money in the long run. It happens constantly with, you know, purchases under $100 to purchases like cars and homes that you're like, God damn, I should not have done this. And it backfires. I would say Jerry has a point when you'd rather pay more and get it right when it comes to free agents, right? When you are shopping with NFL free agents, you would rather pay a guy $20 million a year and feel very good about him either become being a Pro Bowl player, a high-end starter, and feeling good about it, even if you are making him the highest paid player at his position, than pay an average guy $16 million a year and go, we're just filling a need here. I'm not comfortable with it. Totally understand that. And I completely agree. But when you are extending your own players, especially superstar players who are going to make an astronomical amount of money, the Myles Garretts, the Justin Jeffersons, obviously the quarterbacks, a guy like Micah Parsons, the difference of 10, $15 million on the total guarantee could be the difference of an extra starter or two. So when Jerry, the last couple deals he's had with CeeDee Lamb, with Dak Prescott, has cost him starting players. They don't have the wiggle room because of the way that he does deals. And then his arch rival, the Eagles, are known for doing deals early and saving money over the course of a couple seasons. Like, it's not like the Eagles don't have a lot of high priced players. They've extended a lot of them early. It saved them money a year or two later, and it enables them to basically have an offense that has like 9 of their 11 starters are max players. And the Cowboys, like, well, we can only have 3 max players on the whole fucking team. Like, that's not normal. Like, that's just bad business. And I would imagine, you know, Steven's in a tough spot. I've never met him, but I've known people that have negotiated with him, not even for player stuff, but in other walks of life that speak really highly of him. And they say he's a pretty level-headed guy to do business with. I think sometimes when you're 80 plus years old, you're as rich as a guy like Jerry, and this would be true in any walk of life. It's hard to maintain your fastball. Usually the guy that throws 100 miles an hour at 28, at 30 years old, is not doing it at 45 years old. Dan Marino can throw a tight spiral, but his arm strength probably isn't the same at 60 years old. And you're watching Jerry now, one of the true mavericks and great businessmen in the history of the NFL, has been a huge part of the growth and the explosion of the marketing and the popularity of football in terms of the mindset on the business side of the league office. He deserves a lot of credit for that. But the guy we're seeing now, and it pains me to say this, feels like a shell of himself. And, it goes with the Brian Schottenheimer hire. It's just a bizarre place right now. And ultimately, he'll pay Micah Parsons and he'll give him $150 million guaranteed, where, if he would have done this early, he probably could have got him for 20% cheaper. But that's not the way Jerry does business. And then he'll just complain, like, we got 3 guys making max money. It's like, yeah, you probably could have saved on all 3 of them. And they still could have been incredibly wealthy, and you would have had a better team. But that's not what happens when you got a guy like Jerry running the team as a GM in his 80s. Like, how is he going to compete against Howie Roseman and Adam Peters in his own division? Newsflash, he can't. Kirk Cousins. This situation is just weird, man. I think, and we've talked about this before, I get when you make such an aggressive purchase, if you're Arthur Blank, another guy in his 80s, and you give a quarterback essentially $100 million over a couple years, that you just like, I'm not letting this guy control his own destiny when I paid him all this money. And I'm not just cutting him and allowing him to go to another team. Well, I give him $27.5 million this year, and then I guarantee $10 million for 2026. F you. BS. That's not happening. And Arthur Blank essentially told him that, right? When they met. Like, we paid you all this money. We plan on you being here. I do think the situation is going to get weird. Now, Raheem Morris said at the owners' meetings he does not expect Kirk Cousins to be at minicamp. Newsflash. Shocker. I mean, okay. I do just wonder if, and I think the hard part is Cousins is in line to make $27.5 million this year. Based on the way he played last year, I don't think he would make $27.5 million had he been a free agent in March. I think he would have got like a Russell Wilson type deal. Here's 10 or $12 million and we'll incentivize you up to 30. But how bad that was, given his age and given the injury he just had, I think that would have scared off a lot of people. And I do think if they are going to trade him, especially if I trade for him, I also take in that roster bonus that's owed in 2026. If anyone were to sign him, if he had been a free agent, no one would have guaranteed him anything past 2025. So I think the Falcons are just operating out of spite, and we're just going to keep you around. Don't love that once training camp hits. Now, we got a long way to go till then, and maybe teams will find out after the draft who really needs, an extra veteran quarterback. But this situation went from pretty normal when they signed him in March to then very weird with Kirk Cousins to now being pretty petty. And it's going to be fascinating. I don't know how this thing's going to play itself out, but there is a lot of money on the line with a quarterback that is not worth that type money based on the way he played. The finals for March Mania are here, and the only thing for sure is it's the last time you can bet on college basketball this season. Get in on all the action, expected and unexpected, with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get 150 bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get 150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Talking about guy who is worth a lot of money would be Brock Purdy. And Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Jed York all spoke about his situation. And the owner, who also talked about this last year, expects a deal to get done. Now, I've said over the course of the last month, I'm done arguing like whether they should or shouldn't pay him. They've already told you they're going to pay him. So I will react when we see the amount of money they gave him relative to these other quarterback contracts. But we already know that, like, he's not a top 5 quarterback. Even in the best moments of his career, he's not as good as the Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons. He's not on that level. Joe Burrow. But he's proven if your team is good enough around him, you can win. And two of the best teams in the NFC are proving that you can have a high-priced quarterback and build a loaded team with a lot of high-priced guys around him. So it is on John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan to figure this the you-know-what out. Because the Eagles have a quarterback making a ton of money, and they have a loaded offense. The Lions are paying Jared Goff a ton of money, and they have extremely high-priced offense. So it's on the 49ers to figure this out, because we saw down the stretch of last season, he can't turn chicken shit into chicken salad. That's not Brock Purdy. Just like it's not Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts. If I put Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy on the Chiefs last year, they're not the number 1 seed. So, like, these guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. Luckily for Brock and the 49ers, he doesn't have to go through Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. They got the NFC. But, like, the teams at the top of the NFC are pretty loaded around the quarterback. Hell, look at what the Washington Commanders just did. They added a starting left tackle. I would imagine they add more offensive weapons come the draft. So you got the 11th pick. When you have the 11th pick, that means you have high picks in every round. You better get it right. Because if the 49ers just have an average draft, they're screwed. They need a draft that's like a moment that changes the franchise. If not, given how much they, I'm sure, plan on paying this guy, it could set the franchise, uh, into just mediocrity for a while. Uh, Obviously, the NFL doesn't control what day holidays fall on. Last year, they got ultra aggressive with a Wednesday Christmas, and they said, screw it. We're going to give Netflix a package out of thin air. And they did. And they gave the teams the ability to play on Saturday. So a Thursday schedule, Wednesday, and then clearly they got a long break. But it was pretty unfair to force teams to play that short a week, that late in the season. Like it's not an ideal thing for these teams. This year they get a little reprieve because they announced they're going to do a triple header on Christmas because Christmas is on Thursday. So you will have two Netflix games and then an Amazon night game. Sign me up. I'm in. But I also think it works out because you could have probably three games on Saturday. So basically, all these teams play on Sunday the previous week, and then they just get one less day. They play on Saturday, and then you just rotate them all, and they play on Thursday. So instead of a short week, instead of 4 days, you get 5 days. Still not ideal, but much better than last year. And that's what I would imagine happens is we get three games the Saturday before Christmas, and then Christmas on Thursday. You get those same three games and just rotate the teams, just like it happened this year with who was it? It was the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Ravens. That's what I would imagine happens come this fall. Dallas Goedert, he's getting traded. It's pretty clear. Nick Sirianni says he's on the team as of now. And essentially, like, we can't. This is the NFL. It sucks. I watched this thing on YouTube. It was Tannenbaum interviewed John Schneider and Jason Light. It was like a very relaxed setting. I don't know. Maybe they did this at the combine. Maybe they did it at the owners' meetings. I'm not exactly sure where it took place, but it was like the three of them in a room. And it was just refreshing to watch two guys that are GMs now say most of the time when we let good players go, we get crushed locally, by our fans and everyone's pissed off. We never want to let these guys go. If you know the guy's good, we definitely know the guy's good. We want to keep him. But that's not the way the league works. And John Snyder was like, Mike, I watch all these shows you're on ESPN, and every former player's like, just pay him. He's like, well, yeah, no shit. If we could just pay everybody and there was no salary cap, most of the big time teams, their salary, their ceiling for salaries would be much higher. They would be spending way more money keeping players, but you're not allowed to do that. Like, do I think the Eagles want to get rid of Dallas Goedert? No. Do I think that they have to make some sort of financial move? Yes. And I also think he's got value because we know a team like the Chargers, they need an offensive weapon. I think teams like, I think you're going to see teams. What about the Chiefs? They got an aging tight end. Now, again, financially, does it work? This stuff is not easy. And then there are going to be teams that missed the playoffs last year who are bullish on their chances moving forward and will sniff around. Now, are they getting much of value for Goddard? I think they would be lucky to get a third round pick, given that I'm sure he's going to want a contract extension in the next year or two. And he's already an expensive player. But I do think he's going to have a market based on the teams that hopefully draft the tight end in this draft aren't able to because when they pick, the guy's off the board. So Dallas Goedert will be on another team pretty soon. Some rule changes in the NFL. Overtime, which, Andy Reid's been beating this drum forever, will change for moving forward. That in the regular season, like the playoffs, both teams will get the opportunity to possess the ball. Cool. I'm in. I think we all agree. That's fair. You either got to do sudden death or you got to go all in. They both get to touch it. You can't do, well, if we kick a field goal, then you get a chance. But if we score a touchdown, like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. That was kind of bullshit. Like, to me, if you're going to have, you either do sudden death, it's kind of like the luck of the coin flip. And then if you score field goal, touchdown, whatever, safety, game's over, or both teams get to touch the ball. And that's the way moving forward, which I'm cool with. If you go on the internet, a piece of wisdom the older folks often give is learn to code, kids, because technology has taken out all of our jobs. AI is coming. Well, the NFL will no longer be dependent on the chain gang. They will use camera technology to now determine first downs. But the chain gang crew who stands there with the first down marker and that the other, part of the chain will still be on the sideline. So no one, this isn't Woody Johnson. We're not giving golden parachutes here. We're not firing the chain gang all over the NFL. But they will no longer be in charge of determining first downs, second downs, down and distance throughout the game. So we have camera technology now coming into play. This is what Belichick's been banging the drum forever. Camera technology, goal line technology. The NFL is like, okay, we're making some profits. We'll start paying a little money here. And the touchback as well will go from the 30 to the 35-yard line. It feels like they're very bullish and feeling themselves on this new kickoff rule, which, again, I'm not opposed to it. Don't love it, but definitely don't hate it. Kind of just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, it's, in theory, it should have given a lot more action. They love saying, like, way less injuries. Like, yeah, I don't know if the consumer cares that much. I just want action, and we definitely got a little bit more of it. But I did want to end on this because chasing challengers, brought to you by Microsoft. In the NFL, just like in the business world, overcoming obstacles is key to success. Microsoft empowers business decision makers with AI solutions, simplified cloud and data management, and trustworthy, reasonable technology to turn challenges into opportunities. In this segment, we explore some of the biggest challenges being faced in the NFL and how they can be overcome. Whatever challenge you're facing, Microsoft empowers you with the expertise to say, bring it on. This week, we're discussing the challenge faced by the entire league, the Tush Push. Every single person has a strong opinion. It should be banned. We should keep it. It's a football play. I saw Matt LaFleur hates the play, wants it gone. And then there are people like Jim Harbaugh and Mike Vrabel that are like, I'm for it. If you can run it and execute it, it's on the other team to stop it. Howie Roseman got up in the meeting today and said, can you show me the data where there are more injuries because of this play? And there was no data because there haven't been any more injuries. Now, this is a tough spot for the NFL because I think ideally they would not want a play that is just automatic. And for the most part, I know they have been stopped by Vita Vea once or twice. But when they line up in the Tush Push, unlike every play in the NFL, it feels like a guarantee that it's either going to be a first down or a touchdown. And I think in its heart of hearts, from an entertainment perspective, the NFL, like, if they could just choose and no one would be pissed off, they would just make the play disappear. But, like, Howie and the Eagles have a fair point. Look, anyone else can do this. You just don't happen to have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. And because of his body type, is lower to the ground and can get low and disappears in the play. And forever it was like, well, you just got the best center. Then he fucking retired and the play didn't skip a beat. I watched Josh Allen in the playoffs against the Chiefs running short yardage quarterback sneaks. He's one of the biggest, strongest, most athletic quarterbacks we've ever seen. He got stuffed like 4 out of 5 times. So, like, I lean like, I understand, but this is clearly, of all the controversies in the NFL right now, and there's a lot of them constantly, this feels like one that a lot of people are very emotional about. And I don't think this would be a big deal if this was the Jags or the Miami Dolphins or the Arizona Cardinals. But it's a team that's been in the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years and just kicked the Chiefs' ass on Super Sunday. So the Eagles are finding out when you're the big dog, everyone comes at you. We saw it forever with the Patriots. People are just gunning for you. And there are going to be teams like the Packers. Well, what do they have in common with the Eagles? They played them. And what happened? They lost in the playoffs. They can't stop the play. I think this is a tough one for Roger because he's just letting the league or the teams decide and they get to vote on it. But it's like a lot of people are up in arms. And my ultimate take is listen, anyone can do it. And do I like watching it just as an independent fan of football? Like if it disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't think about it again the rest of my life. But from just what's fair is fair, anyone could do it. No one steals plays and steals information like football people, especially coaches. That's constantly stealing other people's stuff off film. And the Eagles have been putting this on film now for 3+ years. So if you want to do it, you could just do every cut up of every time they run it and install it with your own team. And I would imagine some teams have tried and they don't feel comfortable doing it. Their guy's not good enough doing it. Hell, Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, after he hurt his knee on a quarterback sneak, like they don't love quarterback sneaking him. So now on short yardage situations, like they do rollouts and stuff because they don't want to put him in a compromised situation. But I just think this situation is not going away. And this is when you have this multi-billion-dollar league with a lot of big egos and a lot of big personalities. These are the type problems when you're Raj in the league office that you got to deal with. And clearly they just tabled it. It's not going to go away. That's this week's Chasing Challenges. Remember, Microsoft's AI solution empower you to take bold steps and make informed decisions, sparking new ideas to help drive your business forward. With Microsoft as your trusted partner, you can navigate your journey with confidence, finding innovative solutions and reaching new possibilities. Visit Microsoft.com/challengers to learn more.